Our lesson today is on adding and subtracting polynomials, and to begin with we need to go over some vocabulary. So what is a polynomial? Well, a polynomial is an expression consisting of variables, coefficients, and or constants that can include multiplication, that can include mathematical operations such as addition, subtraction, and multiplication. So for example, a polynomial could look like the following: 3x plus 5. Now, within this definition, we've got a couple other things we need to talk about. And we already know that a variable is an unknown value, usually letters. But what is a coefficient? So a coefficient is always the number in front of the x. You'll hear us refer to it as a leading coefficient. Leading coefficients are always important, but a coefficient is your number in front of x. This is important because we're going to talk about when we add and subtract polynomials, as you saw in the introduction slides, that a lot of times when we're adding and subtracting polynomials, your coefficients will change. Your coefficients can change, but your exponents won't change. Now, what is the constant? So a constant, we've heard this vocabulary word before, but a constant is any number without a variable. So a polynomial is going to be made up of what we call terms. Terms is the parts of a polynomial, and it's going to be separated by either your plus sign or your minus sign. So 3x is considered a term, but 5 is also considered a term. So in this polynomial that we have here, we have a total of 2 terms. So they're glued together by multiplication, the terms are, but they're separated by addition or subtraction. Now, if I have one term, that's called a monomial. If I have 2 terms, that is called a binomial. If I have 3 terms, it's called a trinomial. Now, anything larger than 3 terms, we just call it like a 4-term polynomial or a 5-term polynomial. Now, the next thing that's important about polynomials is what we call the degree. The degree of a polynomial is simply just your largest exponent. So in the example that we have up here, notice how I don't have an exponent. Well, really I do. You see how I have this x here, and since there's not a degree with it, then that's raised to the first power. So this one has a degree of 1. And this example that we have here, my largest exponent is a 2. So it has a degree of 2. So the degree is the largest exponent contained within the polynomial. This degree is important when you go to Math 3, because we talk about the degree, and the degree leads us to other big overlying concepts that goes into solving polynomials. And then last is standard form of a polynomial. When you see a polynomial written, most of the time they're always going to be written in descending order. So they're going to go from the largest degree to the smallest degree. So in this example above, my largest degree is 2. The next degree that I have is a 1. And then this 3, notice how it doesn't have a variable with it. So it's going to have a degree of 0. So that takes us to classifying polynomials. Classifying polynomials simply just means naming a polynomial. And there are 2 ways that you can name a polynomial. You can name them by the number of terms that they have, and you can also name them by the degree that they have. So before you watch this next video, take a few minutes and fill out this chart. Tell me the degree of each of these polynomials and the number of terms and see if you can name them.